Hey Eagles, how are we doing today? I'm going to show you guys, some of you got to use them, some of you didn't. These are liquid watercolors. I hope you can see that right there. These are liquid watercolors that I ordered this year from Amazon. These are colorations, and I got a whole pack of them, with 6 of them, I think for maybe $10 or so. So I got this muffin pan at Bilo, but you can get them at the water store, at the dollar store. So all you're gonna do, they come right here, but they're very concentrated. So I'm just gonna do a couple little drops in there. Let's see, they're calling this yellow. You just wanna do a couple little drops, and then I've got some water that I am going to add in there. You don't want to get this on your clothes as you are putting them in here, because they will stain and they will not come out. But these are really great for, oh, I put some in there. If you don't have watercolor palettes, then you can use these. You can also adjust the value of the color, the saturation of the color, when you're using these. And I just have regular water, and I'm just gonna fill them up. Sometimes when kids are using watercolor, they want that vibrant color that they get whenever they use acrylics or like the washable Crayola paints. And we talk about how watercolor is not very thick, it's more fluid, more like water, right? So I've just added a little bit of water in there, and I've got my paper. Now this is actually a watercolor paper, which you can get at a store, you can get off Amazon. These are already pre-cut. If you do not have these, you can always use like a thicker paper. If you use that copy paper on here with the watercolor, I would not suggest that, because your paper will disintegrate. So I'm just gonna put my paintbrush in here. Now, whenever I'm painting, you have 2 options. You can just put it on the paper if you can envision what you want in your mind, or you can draw it out first with a pencil. The only thing, and I see how I hold the end of the paintbrush, the only thing about if I'm doing the pencil is that the pencil lines will show. I didn't get my watercolor. Let me get me their water cup real quick. So I just got a bowl of clean water to rinse my paintbrush. So sometimes you don't really want that pencil to show. But if you see right here, I'm going to tap in here, and I want to see how the colors go together. If you have a lot of paper or you have extra paper laying around, this is a good thing just to try. Okay, especially if you don't have any experience with watercolor. You can have an experiment first. Typically, if we were in class, we would have a whole experiment day. And we would say, ooh, I really liked it whenever I just painted just with water. See, I dipped that paintbrush just back in my water, and I'm gonna pull out. We talk about with watercolor, trying to lose that line, lose that paintbrush line. So I'm gonna go in with a little bit here, and it just takes a little bit, but where you've got that water, watch what happens if I tap. You can watch how the color will spread all through there. So if you have some extra paper, you can experiment. You can see what colors work best, what techniques work best for you. You can blend colors. So let's try doing that. Let's look down here real quick. If I want to take, close this. This looks like my orange. See, with water, there we go. Can we see that on there? Yeah. All right, so let's see what happens if I mix my orange. And let's add a little bit of warm red to it. You see how it will disperse through there? Okay, and then I want to pull it out. So again, these colors are not very dark, right? But you can really see a value. You can really see the light to dark of a color, right? Watercolors make me think of very peaceful places and things. A lot of times people will do seascapes, which is artworks of the ocean, or landscapes using watercolor. I took a whole class at UNC Wilmington on watercolor, and I thought before I took my class that you just take some color and you add water to it and you put it on a paper, but there's a lot more to it. It takes a lot of patience. So sometimes I might sit this right here and I might let it dry and I might go work on another one. Okay? Don't be afraid to do that, because you want to kind of let those colors sit for a little bit. Now, what we've talked about before, you don't want to add way too much water to your paper, because what happens to your paper? Yes, it will disintegrate. It means it's just going to fall apart. And we don't want that. So I always hold at the end of my paintbrush, because if you hold really, really tight and close, then you don't really get that fluid feel. Now, one suggestion, if you accidentally get too much water on your paper, you can get a paper towel and it'll just soak up some. Paper towel, toilet paper, Kleenex, and it'll soak up some of the water. See, so see how this area is really saturated right now? It's really wet. I'm gonna move down here a little bit and I'm gonna go back working down here. And for today, I'm just seeing how these colors react to each other. I don't really have a plan, but sometimes that's the best plans, right? So I'm gonna keep filling this up. But again, these are liquid watercolors.